טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. ואני ברוב חסדך אהוב אתך, אשתחווה לך לכל קודשך ויראתך. מה טובו עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טובו עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. אדוני אהבתי מאוד, מאוד ביתך, ומקום משכן, ומקום משכן, משכן כבודך. מה טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. ואני אשתחווה ואקרא אברכה לפני אדוני עושי. מה טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. ואני תפילתי לך אדוני, את רצון אלוהים, מלוך חסדך ענני באמת, באמת אישך. מה טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טוב עליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. משכנותיך ישראל.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, Cantor.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Nanus. Great to be with you today.
Yes, it's such a beautiful day. I just talked to my brother in Chicago. It's 13 degrees. And my sister in New York.
That's balmy for Chicago.
In New York, my sister and other brother, and it's, piles of snow. So it's really lovely to be here in California today.
It certainly is.
And, I was just teaching the third graders. I teach the Bowerman class all of them, a half an hour, about the miracles, the daily miracles of life. And I was asking them what they were. And it's amazing, since they've been in the quarantine, they appreciate school, family, friends. And then they said air, the earth, nature, trees. So even children see the miracles of daily life. And we're going to begin our service with the Nisim B'chol Yom, the miracles of daily life.
Let's all join together with a nice Amen at the end. Otherwise, the prayer doesn't ascend to God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, המעביר שינה מעיניי ותנומה מאפיי.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בצלם אלוהים.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בן חורין.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני ישראל.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוזר ישראל בגבורה.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו לעסוק בדברי תורה.
Amen. I also asked the kids, because one of the blessings of Nisim B'chol Yom is thank you, God, for making me a Jew. And I asked them, why is it good to be Jewish? And they had beautiful, comments about, well, we believe in being good. We believe in helping people. And they also talked about the Torah. And this week's Torah portion, which we're going to talk about, is the hinge of the Torah, the 10 Commandments. But first, we're going to we also love to thank God, and we have gratitude. And that's why now we're going to continue with Psalm 150.
Hallelujah, 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 el bekodsho, hallelujah, birkia uzo, hallelujah, bigvurotav, hallelujah, kiragudlo. Hallelujah, 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 kol anshamat, hallelujah, 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 kol anshamat, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah.
We continue now with our call to prayer, the Baruch Hu, if you would like to rise, or I heard Rabbi David Eshel say last night, sit up straighter for the Baruch Hu. Please join us now.
La 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ay la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Cantor, I want to ask you a question. Who wrote the tune to that Baruch Hu?
Great question. So the lie part, and which goes into the melody we normally sing with it on Friday night. It was a composition by Cantor Benjamin Siegel, who was a cantor for many years in Long Island. And he wrote that Baruch Hu as part of a Hasidic Shabbat for a Friday night service. It was written easily 40 years ago. And over the years, it really caught on, especially in the Reform movement. And the way I sang it this morning is because the Baruch Hu prayer has a very traditional melody set to it, depending on what service it is. special melody for Friday night, special for Shabbat morning, where it is Baruch Hu et Adonai Amavorach. That's the tradition for Shabbat morning. So I wove the two together because many of our congregants are very familiar with the Lai 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 part. So I included that, right, to begin it and to end it. And in the middle is the correct nusach, the correct melody for Shabbat morning. By the way, yeah.
The reason I ask is because there's a film that we're going to actually watch together. I'm going to start the Film Society again in March. And it takes place in Ghana, in an African village of Jews, and they sing the Lai 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 Baruch Hu there. So that's how universal some of our melodies have become. They're singing it in Ghana in an African village. So
it's so remarkable. On the one hand, Susan, that these melodies would travel through the world long before the internet.
Exactly.
From traveler to traveler, they would bring these melodies into, communities all over the world, right?
And that's how Jews shared learning for thousands of years. These travelers, these merchants would go from place to place and bring, books or scrolls or teachings, and it's fascinating. So one thing that is also universal anywhere in the world is the Shema and the V'ahavta, which we will now say. We will now pray.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Now we welcome everyone to join in chanting V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
So last week in our Torah portion, we read the Song of the Sea. It was Shabbat Shira, and we heard the Michamocha, and we heard some beautiful singing by our other different cantor, Lisa Picot, and other cantors. And that is the preparation, the Michamocha, this Song of Gratitude, is the preparation for this week's Torah portion. After the miracle of the sea, now comes the biggest miracle, which is the revelation, the actual time when the Jewish people become a nation and receive the 10 commandments. So the Song of Michamocha is both a song of gratitude for the past and a song of gratitude and excitement and anticipation for the future. Please join the cantor in Michamocha.
Michamocha bailim Adonai, Michamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat tehilot, osefele, osefele. Michamocha bailim Adonai,
מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורת תהילות, אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה. שירה חדשה, שיבחו גאולים לשמך שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדי חינומך יהודה וישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל.
The Amidah has so many names. Amidah means the standing prayer. The tefillah, the prayer, because I've mentioned this before, it was the very first prayer written by our rabbis, probably while we were in the Babylonian exile. It's also called the Shemona Esrei because during the week, the Amidah has 18 prayers, 18 blessings, some of them requests to God. This is the time when we ask God for what we need. And so think about that and what you need right now to keep us going as we're heading toward, hopefully, a light on the horizon after this very difficult year. So please join us in the Amidah. You may stand if you would like.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
We take a few moments now for silent prayer or meditation.
שים shalom, שים shalom, שים shalom, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך, אחינו אבינו כולנו כאחד באור פניך, כי באור פניך נתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך, תורת חיים, תורת חיים, ואהבת חסד, וצדקה וברכה, ורחמים, וחיים ושלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה ישלומך, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום.
That song makes me feel peaceful. It just brings peace to me. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
No, you're welcome. It's a beautiful composition. Her name is Zena Goldrich, who's a wonderful composer, lives in New York City, has written Broadway musicals, and she partnered on that originally with my colleague and friend, Cantor Ozzie Schwartz at Park Avenue Synagogue. And it's a beautiful addition to our synagogue liturgy. Just beautiful.
I agree. I agree. So now we come to the Torah portion, maybe the most in Torah portion of the year, some could say. What's interesting is it contains the 10 Commandments, but also it's not called the Parsha of the 10 Commandments or the Parsha of Mount Sinai or the Parsha of the Revelation. It's called the Parshat Yitro, the Parsha of Jethro, and Jethro was Moses's non-Jewish Midianite father-in-law. And why would we call this most particular parsha, name it after Yitro? And the reason is because Yitro is very instrumental in helping mold Moses into the kind of leader that he is going to be. I mean, Moses basically was kind of, thrown into this whole role from the burning bush until now. He's been kind of improvising almost and doing what God tells him. And he doesn't have an organized way of leading the people. And what we're going to read in the Parsha, in this part, we're going to read both this morning, is how Yitro changes Moses' leadership and can change all of our behavior in terms of leadership for the better. So we're going to begin with the first part of Parshat Yitro. Cantor, please.
Let's all join in the blessing before. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah. Vayomer choten Moshe elav lo tov hadavar asher ata oseh. Navol tibol gam ata gam ha'am hazeh asher imach ki chaved mimecha hadavar lo tuchal asohu levadecha. Ata shema bekoli i'atzecha vihi Elohim imach heye ata la'am mul ha'Elohim veheveta ata et hadvarim el ha'Elohim vehizareta ethem et hachukim ve'et hatorot והודעת להם את הדרך ילכו בה ואת המעשה אשר יעשו. ואתה תחזה מכל העם אנשי חיל יראי אלוהים אנשי אמת שונאי בצע ושמת עליהם שרי אלפים, שרי מאות, שרי 50 ושרי 10, ושפטו את העם בכל עת, והיה כל הדבר הגדול יביאו אליך, וכל הדבר הקטון ישפטוהם, והקל מעליך ונשאו איתך. אם את הדבר הזה תעשה וציווך אלוהים ויכולת עמוד וגם כל העם הזה על מקומו יבוא בשלום. Blessing after together. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
So we saw in the text Yitro's advice, but what was happening ahead of time? Moses was judging. People were coming to Moses with problems, with judgments, with complaints, and Moses was single-handedly listening to every single person, and hundreds, if not thousands of people would line up for hours, if not days, to see him. He was doing it all alone. And so Yitro comes, he just arrived, he sees his son-in-law doing this, and Cantor, he says something that we only hear one other time in the Torah. He says, Lo tov, masha ta'oseh. It's not good, lo tov. The first time we have lo tov is in the very first book, in the book of Genesis, in the first parsha, where God says, Lo tov, it's not good for a person to be alone. Loneliness is lo tov, but doing it all yourself, not asking for help, not delegating, is lo tov. It's very, it's terrible. And actually, I was reading that what Yitro suggested became the basis for a lot of practices in government and in business, which is to delegate, right? To delegate, he says, you don't have to judge everyone. You should appoint men over thousands, then the men over the thousands, then over hundreds, and then over 50s and over 10s. And according to a statistic, there would be one leader for every 131 people of the Jewish people. So how is it different when it's one leader for 131 people? He's going to know them. He's going to know their situation, as opposed to Moses. Maybe he sees these people, once a year or whatever. So that was the first thing. But Cantor, if you want to just take a look at what he says, what should these leaders be? They should be honest, fearless, and not out for personal gain. If we think about our leaders, our representatives, this is what's in the Torah, right? Exactly. And also, I mean, one of the commentaries I read says that Yitro was concerned, and we would know this, and Cantor, you can talk to this yourself. If you're working all the time, where is your time for family? Where is your time for personal growth? Where is your time for rest? And a lot of people feel like I have to do it all myself. And this is lo tov. And finally, here's the thing. Moses heard this pretty blunt advice, and he took it. So who gives you advice, Cantor, who that you listen to? I know, but you can share it.
My wife, Nancy, and she's the best advisor I'll ever know. Quite honestly.
And why is that? Because she wants what's the best for you.
No doubt. Absolutely. And you know, it's hard for people in a workplace to give good advice, especially to those who are above them, who, you know, the leader or the leaders in any institution. That's a difficult thing to do. So it's fraught with lots of layers of complication that would prevent somebody from giving advice. Right?
But even between friends or in a family, you know, sometimes somebody wants to tell you something. You know, there's a show called Intervention, and the people who are being intervened for often don't want to hear it. They can't be open to it, even though people want the best for them, if they are fearless, God-fearing, and not out for personal gain. So basically, this changes Moses' entire way of leading the Jewish people. And it's like he's now even prepared to take on the next huge task, which is to receive the 10 Commandments, which you're going to chant now in a second. But I just want to point out, it's Aseret HaDibrot, which doesn't mean commandments, right? It means
sayings or words of speech, right?
Right. So the people heard it. And we also have the beautiful midrash that every Jewish soul, including those who converted, chose to become Jewish, all of us, past, present, and future, were at Sinai together to hear the 10 Commandments. And that's why there's a dating website called Saw You at Sinai. Did you know that?
I didn't. Thankfully, I did not.
There's a website called Saw You at Sinai for young Jews, singles, to meet each other because they've already seen each other at the Revelation. So, and then I think you told me that there's an interesting piece of trivia about the 10 Commandments. They weren't really 10, were they?
Originally, not a lot of people know this, that there were actually 15 commandments. And in a moment, we have discovered this video that dates back, it could be somewhere around 1200 BCE, which shows this fact that there were 15 commandments originally, and then something happened. Let's take a look.
I heard Nachshon took that video.
It's very possible because he had an underwater camera.
Okay.
So let's
So-
see that original video of the origins of the 15 commandments.
Oh, hear me. All pay heed. The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 15, 10 commandments for all to obey.
Oh my goodness. I could see that 1,000 times and it makes me laugh. So that is the authentic origin of the 10 commandments, which were originally 15. I'd like to see what those other 5 were, actually. We thought we'd share a little humor today in the study of the 10 commandments. And before I chant Rabbi Nanus, I would add for everyone that there are 2 versions of the 10 commandments in the Torah. The first one here in Parashat Yitro. There's a second one in the Torah later on in Parashat Ve'etchanan, and they are not the same. They are not identical, right? And there's also a very unique Torah chanting tradition around the 10 Commandments. We all understand that the Torah is chanted according to these trope signs, right? Which teach us the phrasing and the melody. There are 2 traditions. One, a trope system that applies when you're studying the Torah privately at home. The words are grouped in a certain way. When we chant them publicly, it's a different collection of trope, which allows for the 10 Commandments to be chanted without pause, and that people stand when the 10 Commandments are chanted, as if we are standing witness now, as if we were at Sinai, right? So fascinating tradition. So without further ado, let's all join again in the Torah blessings. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach, Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'torah. וידבר אלוהים את כל הדברים האלה לאמור. אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אשר הוצאתיך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי. לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמיים ממעל ואשר בארץ מתחת ואשר במים מתחת לארץ. לא תשתחווה להם ולא תעבדם, כי אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אלקנה פוקד עוון אבות על בנים, על שילשים ועל רבעים לשונאי, ועושה חסד לאלפים, לאוהבי ולשומרי מצוותי. לא תישא את שם אדוני אלוהיך לשווא, כי לא ינקה אדוני את אשר יישא את שמו לשווא. זכור את יום השבת לקדשו, 6 ימים תעבוד, ועשית כל מלאכתך, ויום השביעי שבת לאדוני אלוהיך. לא תעשה כל מלאכה, אתה ובנך וביתך, עבדך ואמתך ובהמתך, וגרך אשר בשעריך, כי 6 ימים Asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz et hayam ve'et kol asher bam vayanach bayom hashvi'i al ken berach Adonai et yom HaShabbat vayekadeshehu kabed et avicha ve'et imecha למען יאריכון ימיך על האדמה אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. לא תרצח, לא תנאף, לא תגנוב, לא תענה ברעך עת שקר, לא תחמוד בית רעך, לא תחמוד אשת רעך, ועבדו ואמתו ושורו וחמורו, וכל אשר לרעך. And the blessing after once more together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
So, Cantor, before we move on, I want to ask your opinion. Which commandment or utterance or saying do you think is the most important?
You know, I'm in agreement with some of the sages, quite honestly, who taught that thou shalt not covet is the most important, for the reason that if you do this, if you do that sin, if you covet, you are very likely to commit a number of the other sins, to disobey a number of the other commandments.
Right. You could murder, you could commit adultery, you could steal, absolutely. You could swear false witness, bear false witness, because I call it the gateway commandment. Mm-hmm. If you don't follow that one, it leads to breaking all of the others. So you could study the 10 Commandments for, days. But this is also the week before Rosh Chodesh, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that for a sec.
Sure. This tradition of announcing the new month goes back to antiquity. We are a people who live according to the lunar calendar, and therefore the appearance of the new moon and then the announcement of the new month became paramount in our Jewish liturgy. It's the way we mark time. And it also became culturally attached to the women in the Jewish community. And maybe you can speak for a moment about that tradition.
Yes, well, Rosh Chodesh was considered a women's holiday, and it was awarded to the women after the incident according to the Midrash, after the incident of the golden calf, because when the Israelite men basically demanded that Aaron create an idol, which they made a golden calf, they wanted to collect all of the gold from the people to melt it down. And the women refused to give any of their gold, any of their jewelry, anything for an idol. They refused. They were more holy, actually, than the men. And for that reason, they were awarded this holiday, which in ancient times was like a day off once a month for women. Also the cycle of the body is connected to the cycle of the moon. But this was a time when women would go out and bless the moon and have some time to themselves. I mean, unfortunately, most women don't take that day off anymore, but maybe we should reinstitute that. Once a month, day off for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all should take part in that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
There is a special blessing that announces the new month in which we ask God for a new month of goodness and blessing, and may we have long life and peace and prosperity. And the highlight is that we are instilled with a love of Torah, right? And a reverence for God. And I'll add this one little bit. When the actual day that it falls, there's a musical tradition that if that month you're announcing has a special holiday in it, all of which have special melodies that mark them, right? You would weave that melody of that holiday into the announcement of the new month. So what you're going to hear in just a moment, when I announce the new month, since the new month coming up is Adar, during which the festival of Purim falls, you're going to hear me announce the day in Megillat Esther trope, Megillat Esther cantillation. First, the blessing. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu שתקדש עלינו את החודש הזה לטובה ולברכה ותיתן לנו חיים ארוכים, חיים של שלום, חיים של פרנסה, חיים שתהיה בנו אהבת תורה ויראת שמיים, חיים שימלאו משל ריבנו ריבנו לטובה, אמן. Salam. ראש חודש אדר יהיה ביום שבת קודש, הבא עלינו ויד כל ישראל לטובה. The first day of the month of Adar falls next Shabbat, during which we celebrate the festival of Purim.
And we're going to be having an amazing celebration of that, which we'll let you know about. But now we're going to, all these blessings, the 10 Commandments and the Rosh Chodesh, it's a perfect time when our hearts are open and filled with blessing and love to think about those in our lives who need healing, physical healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing for the Misha Berach. So if there's anyone who you want to be healed, please say their names out loud at home so that we can bless them together with the Misha Berach.
Misha Berach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. Never one who blessed our mothers, never one who blessed our fathers. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. Never one one who blessed our mothers. May the one who blessed our fathers hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Before we conclude our service, I have some really exciting announcements to share with you about what's coming up this week and in the week after. Starting on Mondays and Thursdays, we're introducing Wilshire Fitness, a fantastic exercise class from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. with a superstar fitness instructor from New York. She's like the top teacher at the Manhattan JCC over there, and she teaches on all levels at once. You can, work hard. You can sit in a chair. You can use weights. You don't have to, but it's going to be wonderful. And that's Mondays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 10:30. Also, Brain Boot Camp finished, and starting this Wednesday for 4 weeks at 9:30, we're going to be having a beautiful class on Sephardic culture called El Judaismo Sephardi with Rabbi Daniel Buskila, who runs the Sephardic Cultural Center here and in Jerusalem. He will be teaching that at 9:30. He was supposed to be here. He lives in LA, but he's trapped in Israel with another lockdown. So he will be teaching us from Israel, from Jerusalem, for 4 Wednesday mornings from 9:30 until 10:30 a.m. And on Thursday, Rabbi Nickerson finished his Psalms class. We're having 6 classes on understanding the Holocaust with Randy Fried, who is a fantastic Holocaust educator. There will be guest speakers. There will be maybe a little film, PowerPoint, and he will teach from 1933 to 1945 what happened, how it happened, and what we have learned. It'll be a fascinating course on the Holocaust. And you can share the screen with me and the Cantor for this. We want to talk about next Friday night is a fabulous...
Next Friday night, Rabbi Nanus? What's happening next Friday night, February 12th at 6 p.m.?
It's a Salon Shabbat called the Four Cantors, and we're having guest cantors with Cantor Gurney do beautiful music for Shabbat. You want to share who they are, Cantor?
I'd be happy to. My longtime close friend and colleague, Cantor Nate Lamb from Stephen Wise Temple, Cantor Marcia Atty, who I had the pleasure of teaching when she was a student at the Academy for Jewish Religion here in LA. She is Cantor at Temple Emmanuel in San Francisco. And Cantor Chaim Frankel, who's been the longtime Cantor at Kehilat Israel here in Los Angeles. And we are preparing just a beautiful experience, lots of music, different styles, some solos, duets, even trios, and it's going to be just a beautiful night. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that, and I hope you can join us for that.
And this is in honor of, this is Jewish Music Month.
That's correct.
And the Cantor is so knowledgeable. He's going to talk a little bit about Jewish music as well, because every time you talk about it, I learned something new. I had no idea that we chanted Rosh Chodesh trope, the blessing according to the holiday trope. That's fascinating, and I'm sure we'll learn more. So that's coming up all in the next 6 days. Just we're doing a good job.
That's just the next 6 days. That used to be 3 months worth.
I know.
Right?
And now we're going to turn to moments of memory as we prepare for the Kaddish and remember those who are no longer with us. We begin with Shloshim, those who passed away during the past 30 days.
B. Anchor, Max Bass,
Donald William Bernstein, Barbara Cowan, Doris Engelman, Nathan Goldberg, Jane Hirsch, Barbara Lefkowitz-Zagowski, Diane Mandel Miller, Steve Menkes, Michko Nickerson, Francine Peterman, Alice Pollitt, Myra Scott Reifman, Eleanor Sattinger, Bennett Silberstein, Miriam Sloan Naham, Mark Williams. We also remember those whose yortzites, the anniversaries of their deaths, occurred during this past week. Goldie Baker, Eliana Burlfine, Paul Brock, Herman Berg, Henry Kleinig Kahn, Richard Shannon, Minette Cohen, David Cohen, Gladys Davis, Harold Donzis, Robert Ehrman, Sheila Feldman, Hildy Ann Fell, Sidney Fell, Harvey Fields, Alan Richard Franklin, Helen Gelfand, Anne Glansrock, Esther Goldberg, Edward Goldfeeder, Eva Golden, Herbert Goldinger, Belle Gordon, Diane Grant, Samuel Warner Halper, Elizabeth Hartfield, Blanche Hoffman, Eugene Holden, Willie Jacobson, Harold Jankin, Elizabeth Jane Kahani, Marvin Kalin, Vicky Carcomi, Jeremiah Kerner, Mayor Ben Natan Kachshuri, Herbert Klin, Molly Lou Kolpis, Ronald Conovey, Sam Kapolsky, Jessica Korn, Faye Davidoff Cosberg, Geraldine Lapidus, Arthur Levin, Samuel Lipkin, Zelda Malakowski, Nathan Marblestone, Joel Miller, Marshall Mintz, Edward Mitchell, Naomi Moyer, Michael Nash, Marvin Normand, Donald Osman, Mooney Oster, Stephen Platt, Cecily Renov, Judith Resnick, Alice Rosenzweig, Lucas Rosenthal, Nate Rosenberg, Fred Rosenoff, Yuel Roston, Lillian Roth, Morris Savin, Mark Steven Schwartz, Kurt Seelman, Len Shapoff, Neville Shear, Ann Schrager, Kenny Singer, Lillian Sinitsky, Morris Tarika, Bruce Stein, Alice Sugarman, Boyd Sweet, Gertrude Teidelman, Jerome Tober, Jeffrey Toffler, Minna Tuller, Evelyn Wasserman, Julia Weiskopf, Ronald Frank Whippern, Irvin Wixon, Georgette Youssefmir, Ruth Ziegler. We also remember those who gave up their lives defending the state of Israel and the United States of America, and remember those who died in senseless violence, terrorism, or illness and disease, and those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. We take them all as our own. You may stand if you would like to now. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. V'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael. V'agala uv'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da miran v'yoma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel.
So we're going to conclude with the Kiddush and the Motzi.
Let's join together.
We have our little
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Amen. Chaim, everyone. And now, it's amazing how that challah doesn't get old. It's an ageless challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Have a beautiful
Shabbat
week.
shalom.